This is Black Think Tank, and this is the final part in our black male emasculation series of videos for you. Now, I'm sure you've seen this picture floating around on social media somewhere of this African warrior who would have probably been stationed in Spain. He's a Moor, and you'd have seen the picture and people would have described this image as him being regal, magnificent, royal, powerful, a civilizer of the barbaric Europeans. But what you wouldn't know, this picture is a fictional picture of the palace guard. That's the guy on the left. He's a palace guard. Now, virtually all palace guards and harem guards who were Moors looked like the guy on the right when they were naked. Look to the midriff. There's something missing, isn't there? Yeah. Africans who were palace guards and harem guards, including Moors, would have been castrated by their Muslim enslavers, their Arab Muslim enslavers. When I say castrated, I mean their testicles and their penis would have been cut off, and just a little pipe would have been put where they could go toilet. It would fuse around it. And this was wide scale. Literally every black man who would have been enslaved by the Muslims would have been castrated, especially if they were going to be a palace guard or a harem guard. Now I hear you saying, Muslims enslave Africans, but Africans and Muslims are brothers. History doesn't support that view. You see, Muslims invaded Africa in 642 AD, and they haven't left since. And one of the things they did when they invaded Africa was to enslave Africans. And when they enslaved African men, they would take them back across the Sahara, take them to certain places where they would be castrated. I kid you not. Especially if you were going to be a palace guard or a harem guard, you would be castrated. And there's a reason they would castrate you and make you end up looking like this man on the right. That reason is they were concerned that African men were too sexually potent. And if they were going to guard the palace where all the women were, or guard the harem where the women were, they were concerned that if he had a penis, or was sexually virulent, he might go and have sex with the women. Or more to the point, the women might come and have sex with him. So because they were afraid of the black masculinity, virility, the Muslim enslavers saw to it that the African man was castrated. Not psychologically castrated, but physically castrated, or physically emasculated. Now, not much has changed. This is a news article, BBC news article from 2020. The black guy on the right is a big celebrity sports star, married the Arab woman on the left, and they live in Sudan. And they've received abuse, serious abuse, because a black man apparently is not supposed to marry an Arab woman. Why? Maybe because the Muslim man, or some Muslim men I should say, and some Muslim countries are still worried about black masculinity, black virility, and that their women might run off with the more potent black man. So, in 1400 years, not much has changed in the attitude of some Muslims towards black men. Just like the European, who promotes and supports and rewards black men when they psychologically emasculate themselves by wearing dresses, you have the Muslim Arab, who also emasculates black men but does it physically. What we effectively have here is Arabs and Europeans both seeking to emasculate black men. And I don't think this is something that Frances Cress Wesleyan covered in her book, The ISIS Papers. But the practice of emasculating black men, being afraid of the black male virility, masculinity, and seeking to subdue it, exists across many cultures and is projected onto the black male, sometimes with the support of the black female. So you might be asking, how does this guy know that? Well, it's quite simple. I know it because I studied at that university on the left. That's the School of Oriental and African Studies, and I studied archaeology there, the archaeology of Africa and Asia. That's the same university that Ivan van Sietema studied in. I studied in the same department. Look him up. Also on the right, there's a book called Islam's Black Slaves. I have a copy of that. And I went to the index and looked up the word castrated or castration. And then went to all the pages and read the bits about castration and how African men were castrated and how it was documented by Muslim scholars as well as European scholars. Trust me on this one. It is an historical fact that Muslims conquered Africa and castrated African men. So the next time you see a picture of this guy floating around social media telling you how great African people are and how great the Moors were, just remember this video. In fact, send the person this video. When they say he's regal, magnificent, powerful, and a civilizer, send them this video. And tell them this is possibly what he looks like. In fact, probably 99% sure this is what he looked like when he was naked. Underneath those regal clothing, those royal clothing, those civilizing clothing. This is Blackmail Emasculation 3, the final in the series. And this is Black Think Tank. Tell me what you think.